The Kansas City Chiefs have dealt luxurious need. I wanted more. I wanted more than a third and a seventh round pick. Yes, the Chiefs had saved salary cap. But if they're going to do this, show me who they're going to sign. And a lot of those players that show me they were going to sign have already been picked up, unless they do a trade. The chances of the Chiefs winning this season are going down, or went down on this, but they still have a pretty good chance. Having a better player, in my mind, would have helped the Chiefs win this season. Otherwise, there's no point of keeping him. There's also no point of a seventh-round draft pick. Sure, those players, such as Brock Purdy and Ryan Fitzpatrick and Bo Jackson, but not many more have failed, especially in the seventh round. Many more have failed in the first round. What does that tell you about the seventh round? Now, just adding a player like this is meaningful for a seventh round pick. I know we had players. Also, if we success, Sneed is under the franchise tag agreement, we would have got a third round pick anyways. So what was the big deal about the seventh round pick? I ask you, Chiefs. I would trade luxurious Sneed if I was getting a better draft pick, say a second and a fourth. Now, with that being said, I do think the Chiefs have some depth at corner, and they have Trent McDuffie at the cornerback position, as I said in this podcast with Jason and me. The Chiefs are going to have to figure it out. I know the Chiefs are going to have to figure it out. That's Sam Vaughn Sports Park.
You know, there's really nothing to explain, Skip. In the end, they have a formula that they believe in. And they believe in, okay, the moment that we get a high-priced guy who's an all-pro or whatever you want to call it, we don't want a bunch of those because we can draft well, we can develop well. If you go back and you think about Darius Sneed, who they took in the fourth round, they traded for a guy in Travarius Ward from the Dallas Cowboys in 2018 who was undrafted and was traded to them in August. So they say to themselves, we can keep doing this. Now, all of a sudden, Sneed comes up, but then they draft McDuff, forecasting that Sneed is going to play well enough that he's going to need a big-time deal. We'll move on from him, and we'll slide McDuff into our top into our top defensive back category. That's just how they do things. It reminds me so much of the New England Patriots. It just really does. The quarterback is a constant stay, the head coach. The tight end and Kelsey, much like Gronkowski. And there's always one defensive player like a Teddy Bruschi that still is there from the original regime, like a Chris Jones. They take care of that.
But Chris Jones,
I understand.
He's way
up there. But I'm just talking about a player, a body, not necessarily accolades. But I'm just saying a body where on the defensive side, there's always like one guy that they would keep. And they would say, okay, he's our guy. We're going to keep him. And we just going to keep rotating with everybody else and getting rid of them and keep our salary cap a certain way. And we're going to penny pinch with everybody else except 2 or 3 guys on our entire roster. And that's what the New England Patriots did for years, and they won a lot of Super Bowls. Here's what this recipe is for the Kansas City Chiefs. It looks like they're going to keep winning Super Bowls by doing it because they have a certain philosophy and style that they see defensively that their secondary guys can fit in. We don't know what they feel about some of the guys on the back end that backs up other guys. Now, mind you, that secondary is extremely young. And there's a young secondary. This is not an old secondary. There's a lot of young guys. So they feel great about the prospects of these dudes turning into something special. You say, well, why only a third-round pick if Sneed is such a shut-down corner? Because at the end of the day, you're not going to pay him. And everybody knows you don't want to pay him because you just paid Chris Jones. You're going to have to address Kelsey and some other players along the way. And you've already said, hey, we open for business. So if I'm open for business and the Tennessee Titans have got to pay him as well.
They do.
This happens all the time when trades get out and guys ask for trades. They never get the true value. If you just keep it close to your vest and then all of a sudden you look up and a guy's traded, you go, oh, my God, they gave up this, and this. No one ever knew that Jalen Ramsey was actually going to be traded. All he said is, I want my money, I want my money, I want my money, I want my money. And then Tom Coughlin said, no, we're not going to pay you. the Rams said, we'd rather give you everything you want, the kitchen sink. You see what I'm saying? If he was sitting out there demanding a trade and I'm out of here, the Rams wouldn't have given him that. The Rams would have just gave him a nickel and said, keep it moving. This is what happens with players and teams and organizations when they get leaks out there about trading players.
Yeah.
But they had no other choice because they franchise tagged him. They wasn't going to let him walk for nothing, but they had already made a decision. We're going to keep Chris Jones. Now, if he would have signed a franchise tag and played on that franchise tag, they would have kept him.
It was the non-exclusive.
Or the non-exclusive.
Yeah.
They would have kept him.
It's just hard to believe a player that played at such a high level last year only merited a third-round pick. It just seems like somebody would say, I need that, I want that, at least a 2, if not a 1. If you told me that you got a 1 for L'Jarius Sneed, I'd say, good for you. That works.
Yeah, but that 1 plus that, I don't know what he's going to get, $90 million or whatever it's going to be, that's a big number.
Yeah. All right, he's 27 years old.
He's young.
He was originally a 4th-round pick, to your point, out of Louisiana Tech, and he's played 4 seasons. So he should be entering his prime as a corner. And I'll never forget, the first thing Jimmy Johnson told me when I met him in 1989 was, he's a defensive coach, as you know, you win with the guy who can rush the passer and the guy who can cover the pass, with your defensive end and your cornerback. You have to have them or you can't play defense. Well, he played cornerback at such a high level because he competes so hard. And he's one of the best trash talkers in a good way because he'd get into everybody's face and let them know, not today, not here, not now. And that play that he made on Zay Flowers at the goal line, it just changed the game. I think we're...
A little punch out.
I think Lamar's going to pull that game out. But no, they went the other way with it. And somehow Baltimore could never get back in position to close the gap anymore. That was it. That was the play, and it was made by that cornerback, and he made plays for them all year long.
They're corners. They understand their defense more than we do, okay? We look at it and we go, oh, my God, he got an interception again. We'll take that all day long. No, oh, my God, he punched out the ball. Yeah. But when they're looking at it, they're sitting there saying, well, first of all, he's in the wrong position. He's not doing this right. That's how they look at stuff, and they make these decisions on guys saying we can get somebody at a cheaper rate to do the same thing as Sneed. That's how they is going to benefit from playing in our scheme and our defense. And they could be wrong, though. But then again, on the flip side, they could be right.
They could be. So there were reports that Sneed had a knee issue at the end of the year, but didn't seem to impact him in the Super Bowl at all. And because of him and because of Chris Jones, by the end of the year, I think you would agree, their defense was way underrated because it was playing hellacious good football. Well, and I think by the Super Bowl, they were right there with San Francisco's defense.
Their defense was solid all season long. And then they peaked to a point where they started playing really, really good.
They did.
And then in the postseason, they started to play better.
Boy, they just took off. And he was such a lightning rod for them that now I look at their depth chart. I don't know these kids. Maybe you've
They all young, though.
Yeah. Excuse me. Joshua Williams he'll enter his 3rd year. He was a 4th-round pick out of Fayetteville State in Arkansas. And then Jalen Watson is a former 7th-round pick, also entering his 3rd year out of Ventura College up in the state of Washington. Well, these are, diamonds in the rough. They better be. Somebody better be able to play where they just know.
They played well. Those young dudes played well for them last year.
Yeah.
So I think they have the confidence, or they feel that they can duplicate some of the same success with them instead of Sneed in the lineup.
Yeah. So they pay in Kansas City, they pay the quarterback and they pay the tight end, as you said, and now they have paid the defensive tackle. Or
if you think about a couple years ago, they traded for the left tackle from Baltimore.
Yep.
Brown, and then all of a sudden, he was a free agent. They just basically said, bye-bye, we'll replace that spot because we're not going to give you the type of money that it would take to bring you back. They just said bye-bye. So they have this same New England Patriot sort of philosophy of guys when it's time to get paid, they only going to pay 1, 2, 3, 4 guys, and the rest of y'all off on your own.
Yeah.
They let Tyreek Hill walk.
They did.
They traded him better yet. They traded him, not let him walk.
They did.
But Tyreek said, hey, man, I got to be the highest paid dude in the business.
Yeah.
They said, nah, never mind. We'll get it done another way.